Hello and welcome to another live Q&A. My name is Cedric Marin, and I'm an immigration lawyer at Holf Immigration Law. Thank you so much for joining me. Let me know in the comments below, where are you joining me from? Um, Always fun to learn about that. I'm ready to take your questions for about the next 45 minutes about how to immigrate to Canada. So whether you know nothing about immigration, whether you have a refusal, whether you have an express entry profile and you're waiting for that ITA, ask me your questions. I would love to answer your questions. We have July joining us. Welcome, July, to our welcome loyal fan and supporter. Nice to see you joining us for the live Q&A. So let's start about what's happening with Express Entry. So let's flip over to this screen. Uh-oh, I am having some technical issues. I haven't updated it recently. And there we go. So the rounds of invitation. So as some of you may know, we were expecting to have a draw on December 7th, and now it's December 15th, almost a full month, and we haven't had a draw yet. So we are expecting this to resume in the near future. It actually stopped only because of technical issues. So there was a change from the tier, from the knock to the tier, and this caused a issues in the express entry system, which essentially prevented um, the government to issue ITAs. So we're actively looking when we have a lot of clients that we've worked with to prepare for their work permits and work permits and now with their express entry applications, and we're actively waiting for a draw. We have We're going to start our questions here, guys, and feel free to ask away. This was not scheduled, so it's just for those who happen to see it, who can join us. So welcome to those joining us. We have George Kazam says, "Hello, good morning, Cedric," and we have Sandir. All right, Sandir, let's get started. So you say, "Hi, if I have a spousal open work permit is rejected, the spouse has to leave the same day. Can she stay in Canada and apply again?" So, excellent question. On your piece of paper, so you might have received an order to leave Canada within X amount of days, or they might have also in the letter, you might be able to restore your status to a work permit within 90 days. So you'd usually have about 90 days to restore your status. If you've already had a work permit and you're inside Canada and your application is not refused, you can make another application to stay inside Canada. A little bit tricky, Sandir. So I don't know your specific case. I don't know if you received an order to leave Canada. I don't know if you previously had a work permit and now you got the work permit rejected. Um, I do not know. So hard to give you some specific advice about your case. But read the instructions carefully when if you can restore or if you have an order to leave Canada. And keep in mind that you can only restore to the status that you previously held, right? So if you did not have a work permit, you would not be able to make a work permit restoration application. Um, there is also, so for the exemptions, if we take a look here at the LMIE exemptions, so this is for express entry. What we're interested in is the exemptions codes. When we take a look here at the bottom, we can see that there's the specific rules for spouses of skilled workers, spouses of full-time students, and postgraduate employment. So these have different requirements. So my advice to you is that when you do reapply, make sure that you read here the instructions very carefully and that you provide evidence, right? So if it's a spouse of a skilled worker, that you provide here, the copy of your work permit, your authorization to work inside Canada, prove that you work inside of a skilled occupation, physically residing or plan to reside inside Canada, and be in a genuine relationship. Sandir, you do have a follow-up question here. Let's get to it. It says, "Hi again. I have a work permit. My spouse applied for a work permit 6 months ago. I want to know whether she has to leave the same day if her work permit is rejected." Yes, Sandir, on the letter for the rejection that you receive, it's going to tell you whether or not you can apply for a restoration. If you apply for a restoration inside Canada, right, you would be able, in most cases, to stay inside Canada. But as I mentioned, you may have also received an order to leave Canada. Now, if that's the case, you received an order to leave Canada, well, then you have to leave Canada. So lots of ifs and buts, I'm doing my best to give you just general information on your situation. If you do want legal advice, keep in mind that we are an immigration law firm. We are Holt Immigration Law. You can head on over to our our firm's website, Holt Law, and you can go ahead and book an immigration consultation, learn more about us, our fees, how to immigrate, and to actually review your documents and your personal situation. Head over, speak with a lawyer. I do telework abroad, but there we have it, guys. I'm just trying to get this webcam right. There we go. All right. Thales, welcome back. Says, good morning. Do you have any information about Express Entry? When will be the next draw? I'm sitting on 479 on score and I don't know what to do. So 479. So the next draw, we don't really know. We are waiting for the minister to confirm when this is going to happen, but it was paused because of a technical issue. So I imagine that as soon as this technical issue has been resolved, that they're going to continue the draws. Keep in mind that Canada has what's called immigration level plans. So they have a target for how many people they want, and they try to get to this target by issuing invitations. So Tails, 479. Let's go take a look here at the ministerial instructions for Express Entry. And my question for you, Tails, is what are your language scores? This is going to be my most important questions. What are your language scores? With 479, probably looking at getting an ITA maybe within the next 3 months. Again, I'm just speculating based on past ITAs, but hopefully within the next 3 months. But Tails, this is where I think you can improve your score the most, is actually improving your language score. So in terms of language, right, we know that you can get a few extra points from bringing your language, for example, from a CLB 7 to an 8, right, you would be able to get here an extra 6 points. And then from an 8 to a 9, you could qualify for an extra 9 points. And this might be the whole difference between getting an ITA at the next draw or getting an ITA in a few months. So my question for you is, do you have a CLB level 9 in every language? And not only this, but you need to keep in mind that we have what are called like bonus points. It's less to do with bonus points, but it's more to do with what they call transferability factors. And these transferability factors depend on your level of language. So here you can get a combination of foreign work experience and your official language. You're going to get bonus points. So you can see here that if your language is assessed at a 9 in all skill areas, you will get 25 points. However, if you have a minimum of 7 in all the areas, and then you have and then you're at a 9, you only get 13 points. So not only do we get those points for the language that we saw up top, but you would get also transferability points. So the transferability points would be really important. You can see here that you have to have all skill areas assessed at a level 9. So if one of them is not at a level 9 fails, my recommendation for you would be get your language score into the 9s to get these transferability points and to increase your language score. He says, my wife has a CLB 10. Probably we need to do French classes, maybe, or if you have one of your language scores is below a 9, if one of your language scores is below a 9, get it to a 9. And it says basically CLB 10 in English, CLB 5 in French, 2 or more certificates, and 3 years experience. Yeah, so 479 is a good score. I think that we could look anywhere between the next 3 to 4 months when you get an ITA, or in next year they're also going to be starting occupation specific draws, meaning that they can pick people through specific occupations as opposed to the general CRS score. Well, there we have it. Again, I did not plan this live Q&A, so we have a few less people joining us than usual, but it also gives us an opportunity to really dive into detail and almost certainly get some information about your case. So feel free, guys, to keep posting your questions. All right. Kari says, hi, I just want to know, after biometrics, how much time it takes for medical requests. I applied for a work permit under occupation and demand, Nova Scotia on November 17th from Dubai. So it's typically within the next, usually depending on the visa office, it's usually about 2 to 3 months between for them to do from between the biometrics to the medical requests. And most of the PR applications or even work permits require the medical upfront. So I'm not too sure about your situation if you mean so much, no, not medical requests, but reviewing your medicals. But yeah, usually it's about a 2 or 3 months depending on the visa offices, and that's just for permanent residents. For temporary residents, yeah, it could be anywhere between 2 to 4 weeks for the temporary residents. But again, I'm just speculating, right? Every visa office is different, and they all have their own procedures, their own timelines, and we don't really know we don't really know what is happening. All right, guys. I know we're a very small group today. I think there's only about 5 to 10 viewers right now. But if you do have questions, please feel free to ask them away. I see here there's only 6 people. We usually get about closer to 25 or 30. I should have scheduled a live Q&A to get more participation. But let's take a look here. So the consensus says, hi, good morning. If results for a spousal open work permit application exceeds processing time, does it mean it's going to get rejected? No, not at all. Not at all. So sometimes on the actual website they're going to advertise like 3 to 4 weeks for the processing of applications, but you might already know this. The concise, but you can actually head on over to the website here and type in the application. Take a look here at um, the type of application you're doing. So in this case, it's a work permit from outside Canada, and after here, we're just going to pick a random country from Kuwait. And here, so right now it's taking 52 weeks. This is quite a long time. Hopefully it's not taking 52 weeks for your work permit, but no, like it's right now for the processing time, it's taking quite a bit of time to process work permits. And do keep in mind that if you're over the delay, right, if you're experiencing like you applied, it says 3 months. This checker here also says 3 months. Keep in mind that you can also under legal help apply for writ of mandamus, right? You can apply for what's called a writ of mandamus, so formal court process at the federal court, or you're actually going to go and ask a federal court judge to make a decision on your to make a decision on your PR. To make a decision on the spousal open work permit or the PR, a federal court judge can issue this. So take a look at our blog. We talk here in detail about the various tests that needs to be met and the various requirements that does need to be met. Listen, guys, unfortunately, I didn't schedule this. We just have a very small group, and I think it's going to be best use of my time to write more blogs, to do more content, do pre-recorded content, instead of for the next half hour kind of waiting for questions. But listen, keep an eye on our channel. We're going to keep scheduling these live Q&As, and there's one happening with Mark and Alicia in a few hours. So make sure to join us if we didn't answer your question there.